everything is saturated. You're never going to find something that nobody's doing, right? Everything is saturated, but how you remove yourself from the saturation is in e-commerce, right? Is by niching down and being different, right?
So I'm just going to jump in here because this topic, for whatever reason, it really winds me up and pisses me off because the same question like you get asked, oh, it's saturated. Should I do this niche? You know, there's loads of people in there. And this is my take on it from my experience. If you're going into a niche, if you're going into fitness, if you're going into the pet niche or cosmetics, whatever it is, if it's saturated, it means there's healthy competition. I would be more worried going into a niche where there's not a single competitor. What does that scream to you?
People think they need to be an expert at something before they start, right? I'm not going to start yet because I don't know what product I want to go with. It's like, how the fuck would you know what product to go with based on no experience, right? It's important to understand that every single person that does e-commerce started with zero experience. It doesn't get taught to you at school. It doesn't get taught to you at university. You don't go and get a job and learn e-commerce. E-commerce, a lot of the time, is self-taught, right? So whether you get a mentor, whether you just go out there and do some research, every single person in e-commerce started with no experience. You don't have to be an expert to start, but what you do need to start is you need that willingness to want to do it, right? That's all you need. And then you need to get yourself around experts or join experts that actually are going to then teach you and educate you, and that's where you learn the skill. But I need to find it. It worries me when people say I need to find a product and then I'm going to join. It's like, well, that product's going to go out the window because you found that product based on no experience. I don't fucking trust it. We find products based on product research, real product research, you know? So yeah, I think it's just important to understand that you don't need to be an expert to start something, right? But you need to start in order to become an expert. We never recommend leaving your job until you've got a business online that's making you money, right?
And it's proven. It's not just the first month that you hit enough that you think, oh, that's my salary.
Yeah.
Like you need to just make sure that wasn't a fluke. And most of the time, well, actually, I've never heard of it being a fluke. Like members that we've spoke to who've quit their jobs, they're patient and they wait, and it just goes up and up, but it never.
And then you quit your job.
Yeah.
I think even with that, like what we did at Smart, like, you know, we were earning enough money where, you know, we could all quit and do that. But the way we looked at that was like, well, you know, each of us needs X amount of money. We're now taking that away from the growth of the business. So like, even though, you know, the first 5k profit month we did, it was like, oh wow, you know, let's all split that. It was nothing like that. It was like, right, we've now got 5k to put into marketing. We can do this, we can do that. So it's growing the business until you get to a point where you're growing it using all the money, but you still got money left over. When you get to that position, personally, I would say like that's kind of your flag to get out of that 9 to 5 now.
So guys, this is the first time we're going to be talking about how we've created multiple brands online whilst helping others change their life. We've got the biggest community in the UK. We work with some of the biggest celebrities in the UK, even across the world. It's going to be an exciting one because we haven't really got straight into it before. So for anybody watching, we'll talk about how we've got to where we are today, but we'll break everything down. It's going to be good.
I think just let's start. For anyone who doesn't know who we are, we're the founders of Change, and this is Ryan, I'm Tami, and that's Reese. So yeah, I'm excited for this one.
Yeah, it's going to be good. So we got a lot to discuss for a start. So obviously, you know, people know us as the founders of Change, everything we do, the people we network with. So before we dive into that area, I think we should kind of strip it back and talk about what we were doing before Change to begin with. So,
chefs, 60, 70 hours a week. Tammy's in admin, me and Reese are chefs. We didn't come from an IT background, a skilled background. We were literally just chefs, right? I wasn't even a chef if you actually want to strip that back. You know, I was cooking on the fryers and the griddle and, you know, basic food. But yeah, we were chefs, and I think we just all wanted more from life. Obviously, when I met you, Tami, you was already doing Amazon FBA. You had your own makeup brand, Tami Jade Brushes. So you was already kind of delved into the e-com side. But people always want to know why we chose e-commerce. Why was it e-commerce? You've got all of these other business models out there. You know, we could have been a ghostwriter. We could have been a brand builder. We could have done Forex. We could have done all of these different business models, but we chose e-commerce. We could have even went into bricks and mortar and opened up a restaurant, right? Why would you want to create your own restaurant when you're coming from a a chefing background. And the reason we chose e-commerce is because of the freedom it offered, very low overhead costs. Because we had an idea of creating an e-cig shop, if you remember, and we was going to do a vape shop. But what appealed to us was e-commerce because of the benefits from doing e-commerce. Why do you think members join our community? Because of the results that you can get from what we do. We travel the world. We can make money whenever we want, 24 hours a day, low overhead costs, no staffing issues, and being able to create multiple income streams from one laptop, from one computer.
I think with that as well, like going back a step as well, like why did we choose e-commerce out of all of those areas? I think one thing that kind of, I mean, I would say we started e-commerce without even knowing we started it. So like whilst working at Chefs, we ordered those speakers for the kitchen, and with them speakers, it was like, you know, the other chefs were like, oh, you know, can we get one of them and stuff? So we ordered them, we sold them to the chefs, and then it was kind of, they were branded speakers back then. I can't say the brand
Everybody
name.
had a speaker in the kitchen.
Everyone had them. But the whole idea was like the money we made from selling them to the people at work was, you know, we ordered a few, we put them on eBay, just thinking like, oh, we can make some money there. They all sold overnight. So it was like the next order was then 20. The order after that was 30. So it was like we were doing that, not really understanding like, oh, we're actually doing e-commerce. We're selling products and stuff. So obviously when that all eventually died off and we couldn't do that anymore due to PayPal, we won't get into that. It was then sort of like understanding when we're seeing these opportunities, when the e-commerce side of it came around, it was like, we're kind of familiar with that, essentially. And it was like, we weren't experts, we weren't nothing like that. We're just a couple people that made HOTS a few £1,000s.
I think we already had that. Wow, we know what it's like to make money online. You know,
had a taste for it.
That's
it.
Yeah, but obviously, eBay, listing the product on eBay is completely different to building an e-commerce business. So we still had zero experience, but we had some type of we experienced making money outside of a 9-to-5. Most people will go their whole life and never experience making an extra £1,000 a month outside of a 9-to-5 and a little side hustle. Yeah, but you know, we're going back.
Don't count.
But we're going back a long time, and you think, you know, where the world we're living in now, there's way more opportunity and it's way more accessible, way more easier to create a fucking side hustle. Like I always say, like zero excuses. If you haven't got a side hustle, it's either because you're lazy, or you've just got your priorities wrong. Why haven't you got a side hustle? You got fucking 16-year-olds who've got no experience in life at all. They've just come out of school and they've got a fucking 5K a month side hustle. Yep. So there's no excuse. You know, we live in that world. So back then when we started, it was a little bit harder. These platforms weren't optimized for noobs and new people coming online. So you had to know the right people, and you know, we had to do a lot of digging, as you guys know. But that's why we started e-commerce. Yeah, we looked at the outcome and we saw a business there that, you know, if we pursued that, what are the rewards from doing that, right? Yeah. And a lot of people don't look at that. They look at the work, they look at the paycheck, and they go, "Oh yeah, that sounds good," but then they have no freedom. They're trading 40, 50 years of their life working in this job because they're looking just at the paycheck, where we'd worked a job for 15, 16, 1,800 pound a month as chefs. And we wanted to go into something that would give us the freedom, that would allow it. We all wanted to travel. We all like traveling. We all had that vision of being able to just grab our laptop and hop on a plane and fly somewhere and make money, you know, and that's the life we're living today, obviously. So, that's why I think e-commerce really appealed to us, because we were already looking at people that were already living that life that were in e-commerce, and you're looking at their outcome and their results going, I want that.
I think that's a key part there as well, because there's a few people. One of them was Jet Set Fly.
OG.
I remember watching him, and he was kind of like dabbling into so many different areas. He was doing a lot of e-commerce. Then he was doing things with like the ATMs, and then he was doing other stuff in retail stores. So it's like watching people like that, like at the time and where we were in our journey, it was like, to us, that was levels. Like, and it was always good to see people like that. And there was loads of them. It wasn't just him. There was, I think I used to follow maybe like 7, 8 different people, and they're all doing different stuff, but it's all based around e-commerce.
Millionaire Mentor was another one.
Yeah, he was a good one. He's kind
you actually spoke to him. That's insane.
Yeah, he's kind of sold his page though now.
Yeah, I know.
That. But yeah, like watching all these people, like, you know, these are kind of like the early bird e-commerce gurus, I would call them, you know, got in it fairly early. And look, not all of them are still doing e-commerce. Jet Set Fly, he's completely disappeared off the radar. And we'll touch on this later on, but it's about learning how to adapt as times move forward as well. So a lot of our beginning of our e-commerce journey, we had to self-learn like so much stuff, because there was things out there that you could join, you could learn, you could pay for, you could network and stuff like that. But ultimately it was like, when you're sat there in the evening and you've only got the 2 hours you've got because you're still working a 9 to 5, it's like you want to use that as efficiently as possible. And I think for a lot of people as well who don't have the side hustles, because they don't want to sacrifice those 2 hours. Whereas for us, it was like, even if we didn't know how to do something, we would figure it out. And even if it took us a few days, we would get it done. And I think that kind of mindset is what separates people that are comfortable in their life, earning a paycheck, got a spare bit of money every single month, treat the kids, go out, buy themselves stuff and things like that, to the people that see that little bit of additional cash every single month, I need to invest that to make more.
Opportunity, yeah. I think I think when you look at a lot of people that have made it versus the people that haven't made it, the people that have made it are the people that have their priorities right. So when people look at us, I always say it's, you can do what I do, right? When I looked at the people that had what we wanted at the beginning, I thought, okay, I can do what they do. They literally just invest any spare time that they have into their business online. Well, I'll just do the same, right? I'm going to put the work in. You look at times where, when we was part of the mentoring program that we first joined, that taught us a lot of what we know. We didn't just settle for the mentoring program. We were constantly doing research online, but obviously back then it's a lot easier. There's less shit online, but we constantly pushed ourselves. Tami would spend her whole evenings on Fiverr. Yeah, you'd be sat there on Fiverr. Is there any services on Fiverr that's going to benefit us? Is there any services that are going to, we never settled for, okay, I can't do any more this evening, laptop shot. We were like obsessed.
I think we would spend, like all of us, spend evenings, even if we thought, oh, we don't know, like we've done all that, what should we do now? We're looking at YouTube videos and just Googling things and just literally we're searching all the time. And I think a lot of people hit a hurdle and then they just drop off because, it's not as easy as I thought. And that is it. But like we've spoke before about how many hurdles we hit, and we had no one like the mentoring didn't really help on that part, especially because we did so much external research that we were finding our own ways that they didn't even teach. And it never ever did one of us say, oh, we should quit. Like we were like, right, what do we do to get past that bit? And like we've spoke about this before on podcasts where we got scammed by something. We thought we were doing really well and we'd been scammed.
Well, the mentality behind all of that was always like, well, if we quit, what are we going to do? Work a job for 50 years? Where a lot of people, which is insane, they will settle for a job for 40 to 50 years, but won't spend 1 to 2 years on their own business. Yeah. It's fucking that's insanity. Like that's crazy to us. And we all understood that and we was on the same wave. Let's talk about some of the biggest myths about obviously an online business. People think that they need to quit their job first before starting online. These are just some questions that we always get asked. So I think it's good that we clear this up. We did this around our day-to-day commitments. We started our first e-commerce store. We even had a second e-commerce store and we're still working as chefs. We would do this around our day-to-day commitments. We never recommend leaving your job until you've got a business online that's making you money, right?
And it's proven. It's not just the first month that you hit enough that you think, oh, that's my salary. Yeah. Like you need to just make sure that wasn't a fluke. And most of the time, well, actually, I've never heard of it being a fluke. Like members that we've spoke to who've quit their jobs, they're patient and they wait. And it just goes up and up, but you would never.
And then you quit your job.
I think even with that, like what we did it smart. Like, we were earning enough money where, we could all quit and do that. But the way we looked at that was like, well, each of us needs X amount of money. We're now taking that away from the growth of the business. So like, even though, the first 5k profit month we did, it was like, oh wow, let's all split that. It was nothing like that. It was like, right, we've now got 5k to put into marketing. We can do this, we can do that. So it's growing the business until you get to a point where you're growing it using all the money, but you still got money left over. When you get to that position, personally, I would say like that's kind of your flag to get out of that 9 to 5 now.
Give before you take. Everybody wants to take from the business and then they'll give. And it's like, no, just give. And then you can take after. And that's what we did right. We never took from the business. It weren't like, oh, do you mind if I quit my job and just take $2,500 a month out of the business? We were like, we found it crazy at times that we're fucking sitting there in a job we hate, sweating it out, customers out the door, fucking frying fish, flipping burgers on a griddle, and our business is doing 10K a month. People think you're insane. But the vision we had was, that's fine, because next month we'll do 12K. The month after we'll do 15K. And then when the business kept growing, that's when we was like, right, we've had like that 4 months of this now, like 3-4 months. Time to go. Yeah. And it was the best thing in the fucking world.
Do you know what though? Working, like going in, knowing you've got like a full 12, 14-hour shift, knowing your business is making that money, I kind of enjoyed work at that point, because in the back of my mind, it's like the path.
You know, you're not doing that forever.
That's it. Yeah. So everyone else is miserable, and we're there like singing in the morning, 8 in the morning.
Yeah. But I think another thing is, I actually had a message before this podcast saying, but surely it's saturated. I think it's important. Yeah, I think it's important to understand that everything is saturated. You're never going to find something that nobody's doing, right? Everything is saturated, but how you remove yourself from the saturation is in e-commerce, right? Is by niching down and being different, right?
So I'm just going to jump in here because this topic, for whatever reason, it really winds me up and pisses me off because the same question like you get asked, oh, it's saturated. Should I do this niche? You know, there's loads of people in there. And this is my take on it from my experience. If you're going into a niche, if you're going into fitness, if you're going into the pet niche or cosmetics, whatever it is, if it's saturated, it means there's healthy competition. I would be more worried going into a niche where there's not a single competitor. What does that scream to you? Do you know what I mean?
There's no money in it.
There's no money. No one's doing it. There's a reason there. And on the flip side of that, the way you need to stand out, it's not just thinking like, oh, let me do this product because it's selling well on Amazon and, you know, these brands are doing really well with it. You're just essentially going to be another brand stepping into all of that noise, trying to make your noise in that crowd. It's not going to work. So the way that I, you know, tell people and the way that I do the brands like, you know, that we build and stuff is, if we're looking at a product that is already done and it is congested and saturated, you need to look at different angles on how you can market that. So I've been helping one of our members recently doing really wants to do an electrolyte brand. And, you know, straight away I put the question across to them. How are you going to be different to everybody else that's doing it? You know, you can walk into Tesco, you can walk into Holland & Barrett, you can, you know, jump online. It's everywhere. It's all over Amazon. So how are you going to be different? And then they were like, oh, because my electrolyte's got higher sodium. You can buy high sodium electrolytes. There's no difference there. So we were examining the market together and hardly anyone is tapping into electrolytes for more of the elderly demographic. So, you know, elderly people, ideally you want to stay more hydrated, you know, especially if a lot of them travel, you know, hiking, whatever they love to enjoy. There's no brands out there that's specifically targeting the elderly niche. So we're now designing the brand. We're designing everything to go with those electrolytes more tailored towards elderly people.
So you're talking like active people over the age of 50 or something?
50, 60 plus, around that. Yeah. But with like potassium, you have to watch your potassium intake once you're over a certain age. So with this, we're kind of lowering that, but still enough to be able to call it an electrolyte. But the sodium's a little bit higher. The flavoring is a little bit less. It's not strong, anything like that. So, you know, for your general 25-year-old athlete, they're probably not going to opt in for that electrolyte because there are generally better ones on the market for what they want it for. But for an elderly person, they're not going to see, you know, some guy with huge biceps and be like, yeah, I want to have what he's having. So it's a completely different market. So anyone watching this, and this goes for every single niche out there, if you're looking at certain products or you're looking at certain niches, it's not, you know, oh, I want to do this because everyone else is doing it. You're gonna fail. Like you might as well stop. There's another idea. So peptides right now are blowing up. Everyone's going over peptides. I've heard so many people wanting to try and sell them, trying to do this, trying to do that. For one, you're not allowed to market them whatsoever. So ideally, unless you're doing word of mouth or your friends are promoting it, you're going to really struggle making sales. But you can still cash in, and it's thinking outside of the box. So instead of like, you know, the area where all the money is, how can you kind of invent something or bring something to that market that they also want? So something that I'm working on at the moment is a portable fridge that fits 1 or 2 pens.
I was thinking about this.
I've just
I was
finished,
thinking how good it would be.
Yeah, I've just finished building the store, so it's we'll be launching very soon as well.
Amazing, I'll buy
so
one.
it's a portable fridge, rechargeable USB-C, and it lasts up to a week.
Wow, so
it's solid as well, and the reason for using a portable fridge over your own fridge, as an example, is your own fridge, the temperature fluctuates every time you open that door. You shut it, the temperature's changing. If that is consistent, within about, I think it's about 3 to 4 weeks, your peptides get ruined. with that, and a lot of people don't know that. There's loads of podcasts, loads of research out there. So this mini fridge, dedicated for your peptides, you're only going to open it when you want to use them, and it locks that temperature.
What about travel?
But just going back, that's the gap. It's not that hard when you think outside the box. You're like, okay, the market's saturated, like Reese says, is a good sign. But how do we come into that market? And I think you see a lot of people struggle when they go, say, into a pet niche, and they go, I'm going to do, dog collars. Is that okay? It's been done a million times. And I always say to members straight away when they have an idea is, okay, what's different about you? And if they can't tell me why they're different, drop it or go and find a way of being different. I spoke to a member this morning. I had a Zoom meeting, and he's got a supplier looking through us. He's found a supplier, only 5 ingredients, organic dog food. The supplier's in America. The beef comes from Texas, so it's within the US, and he wants to target pet owners who don't understand how important nutrition is for their dogs. So he can educate them on each one of the 5 ingredients, where it comes from and what the ingredient does to the dog. There's one ingredient in there where the dogs don't bark as much. We definitely need some of that. Yeah, I'll see if they've got any high strength ones of that. But there's one ingredient there where your dogs bark less because they have more nutrition. He was actually educating me on this. So again, it's just he's coming in and he's not going, I want to sell dog food. It's generic. He's coming in with only 5 ingredients, but I'm also going to educate you on the benefits of each one of these, and they're all locally sourced, all within the US.
Wow, that's really good.
So good.
And is businesses like that, and the businesses you've mentioned, which just blow up and they generate millions and millions and millions.
Yeah.
But they're all saturated markets, like you say. A fridge, saturated. Dog food, saturated. Electrolytes, saturated. It's how you enter the market, and it's how you position yourself within the market, where people go, well, that's different. I buy products all the time, but they're always products that come in at a different angle.
The marketing angle is key.
When's the last time you bought something generic, guys, online, where you've seen dog's bed? Oh, I love that. Or you've seen, like, I don't know, a toaster, buy that. There's always some kind of weird angle that makes you buy the product. But the core is still the same as products that have been there for 20, 30, 40, 50 years. Right?
When you're looking at and once again, I know myself even saying the word, a saturated niche.
You're going to annoy yourself, Reese.
Yeah, so I'm getting annoyed already. So when, and whatever you're doing, whoever's watching this, if you're looking at a saturated niche, always ask yourself, how can I be different, and how can I market that differently to everybody else? If there's so many people doing it, if anything, that's a benefit, because like what I said, just going back a few minutes, it's healthy competition, and it gives you more information on how other people are selling their products. So you've got all of this data sat in front of you. How can we be different? Like, that's the first question to ask yourself. If you can get 1 or 2 ticks in that box, 2 or 3 different angles on how you can be different, wow, you've got a good business straight away.
Yeah, 100%. I think another thing is people think they need to be an expert at something before they start. Right? I'm not going to start yet because I don't know what product I want to go with. It's like, how the fuck would you know what product to go with based on no experience, right? It's important to understand that every single person that does e-commerce started with 0 experience. It doesn't get taught to you at school. It doesn't get taught to you at university. You don't go and get a job and learn e-commerce. E-commerce, a lot of the time, is self-taught, right? So whether you get a mentor, whether you just go out there and do some research, every single person in e-commerce started with no experience. You don't have to be an expert to start, but what you do need to start is you need that willingness to want to do it, right? That's all you need. And then you need to get yourself around experts or join experts that actually are going to then teach you and educate you, and that's where you learn the skill. But I need to find it. It worries me when people say I need to find a product and then I'm going to join. It's like, well, that product's going to go out the window because you found that product based on no experience. I don't fucking trust it. We find products based on product research, real product research, So I think it's just important to understand that you don't need to be an expert to start something, right? But you need to start in order to become an expert. Right, and people get it the complete opposite. The amount of people that never start their journey because they feel they need to be an expert. Well, how the fuck do you become an expert if you don't even start? You don't just become an expert by becoming an expert. I don't know.
I think we always say, like, when people will message us and say things like that, we always say you're going to have a better experience, and it's much easier for us if you're like a blank canvas, you don't have any ideas. You just come through, you're completely blank. Some people say, "Oh, I haven't even got a laptop," but like they have an easier journey because they're coming through. They've got no, what's the word? Like no ideas that they've already thought about and like confuse themselves. Well, then when they start speaking to experts and going down potentially another route.
And it allows us as well, like, you know, all of us and the team as well, to be able to kind of like, and I don't know if this sounds weird, but kind of like shape and mold that person and teach them our strategies, our methods, how we do things. You know, the methods and strategies we've been using, like they're 10 years on, but we've been mastering these, improving them down the road. And, you know, collectively, the whole team, there's over 100 years of experience in the e-commerce space.
And it's something that, there's 10 years, but it's also things have changed so much along the way, and we are always up to date with that, and we're always changing like the route. If things like AI, for example, has come in, we haven't just ignored that and stuck to what we know is good. Like we need to learn about that, what works, test it.
I think it's important to also touch on why people fail, right? It's the same picture you see all the time. The people that succeed are the ones that come through, put the work in, they're consistent, they get the results. The people that come in, they don't really, it will always come down to how bad you want it, right? It always comes down, period, to how bad you want it. But the people that come through, they're not consistent, they don't put the work in, they come through, disappear for 3 weeks, come back, disappear for another 3 weeks. They never get the results, right? They fail. A lot of the time, it always comes down to how bad you want it. But the first thing is lack of consistency is massive in any business. I don't care. It's not just e-commerce, any business.
Anything.
Anything in life. Yeah, absolutely. I think if you're not consistent, then that's where the results either take forever to come or don't come at all. Shiny object syndrome is another one, right? So one thing that's really got us to where we are is us by us staying in our lane and not being distracted, right? How many shiny objects did we have in year 1, year 2, year 3, year 4? It was always these opportunities, always this and this and this. And how many people did we see constantly go from one thing to another to another? You did a story the other day on your social media, Reese, talking about 1 minute somebody's an expert here, then they're an expert here, then they're an expert here. I'm not going to mention any names in this podcast, but fucking hell, how many people do we know that are 1 minute doing this business, then they're hopping onto this business, and then they're hopping onto this business? But the funniest thing is they're all fucking broke. Yeah. Right? They're all broke because they can't stick to one thing.
Yeah, and they haven't stayed consistent in one.
Absolutely.
These people as well will say, "Oh, nothing worked. You ain't consistent in anything," and then they will say it's all a scam.
Yeah.
It's like, come on. Like,
we looked at e-commerce at the beginning and said X amount is being spent every year. This is the estimated growth year on year. There's money to be made here, right? I'm also looking at people making money thinking, well, if they can do it, we can do it. It's not hard. And we stayed in our lane for that reason. And that's how you become a master at something. You know, you can't become an expert. You know, they say 10,000 hours, right? And you become an expert in that field. If you're constantly pivoting between this business and that business and that business, 1 minute you're an e-com guru, next minute you're a Forex trader, next minute, you know, I don't know, you're property development, like you're never going to succeed at any of these opportunities. The chances are you'll never succeed.
Just touching on that, you might have 7 hours experience in e-commerce, 10 hours experience in property development, and 5 hours experience in Forex. So,
potentially, but you're never going to hit that 10,000, right? So shiny object syndrome. We've seen many people throughout the years. You know, there's one scenario I remember. I was out clubbing the other day. Not the other day, Tami. Do people even go clubbing still?
It's gonna be an argument.
And if they do, they need to sort their lives out. No, this was like going back fucking hell, 15 years ago, I think. And I was out clubbing, and I remember going outside, and this guy in his 40s started talking to me. And I was like, "Oh, what do you do for a living, mate?" And he had literally named probably every single business you've ever heard of. He had done about 20 different businesses, right, in all different niches. But he had fuck all to show for it. Because again, and I always remember this. Yeah, now he's clubbing in his 40s. It says a lot, doesn't it? But then that's always stuck with me because I'm like, he's one of those people with shiny object syndrome.
Distracted by
and
everything.
all of these people will get to their 50s, their 60s, and they'll be like, I've done this and I've done that. But you look at what they've got to show for it, and they'll have fuck all to show for it because they couldn't stay in their lane. Reese talks with people every day and says, mate, why are you doing that? Stay here. You're doing this. Oh, I know, but, you know, I've got this idea. And it's like, fucking hell, slow down, mate. Look, you're either doing this or you're doing that. And if you do that, don't look at anything else and stay there. People just, they can't focus. Yeah. So, again, a lot of people fail is because they can't just stay in their lane and commit to one thing. You know what I mean?
The main reasons why people fail is 100% that's it's like a virus. Do you know what I mean? Like, most people are capable of having some good discipline and being like, right, you know, this is what I want to do. This is like the business that I want to focus on. And, you know, it's straightforward to focus on that. You're going to get all these things pop up. Fucking, who remembers NFTs? My God. And like from day one, like the whole concept came out and everyone was promoting it. Even Gary Vee was promoting it. Snoop Dogg was promoting it. And it's like all these people. And like when I looked into it, because obviously it's getting everyone's attention, I looked into it. I was like, you're actually paying tens of thousands for a PNG or a JPEG. Like, as the world gone crazy and it was blowing up. Where's it
People
now?
made millions from that.
Millions from it. And where's it now? And this is what I mean. The second that came out, there was people that I've been following for ages, you know, expert in this, doing this and stuff. NFTs came out, NFT reseller, all of this. And it's just like, Jesus Christ. But I think that the main issues that people have is laziness. And, you know, people say, oh, I ain't got the time or anything like that. And I think that just comes down to being unmotivated rather than anything else. Like, you know, people can tell us lies, but at the end of the day, like, whoever's watching this, like, you know, you can lie to us, you can lie to anyone, but just don't lie to yourself. If you're not passionate enough and you haven't got that discipline or, you know, that drive to do this, don't start it like that. And that's absolutely fine. That's absolutely fine to, you know, sit there and be like, oh, I'd love to do that, but do you know what, I probably wouldn't stick it out. Like, I'll just carry on working a 9 to 5. That's fine. It's just annoying when people, you know, want to work with us as an example and they come through and they do this, they do that, and then they just drop off. And then they come back and then they complain or they do this. And it's just like, you know, the 1% of people that succeed in life are the people that don't take no for an answer. They're the people that, you know, have visions, the people that want to network, and they're the people that no matter what, they'll make sure the job's done. 100%. And I think if you want to be in that 1%, it starts with being motivated, whatever your motivation is. Some people it's money, some people it's family, some people it's freedom, whatever it is. Understand what your motivation is, understand why you started or why you're going to start, what's the purpose there, and also have the discipline and be consistent. That's all you need for the success. People look at it like, oh, it's a secret, like, you know, people will never share it and stuff like that. It's, in my opinion, it's not difficult as long as you turn up, put the work in, stay consistent, and be able to ask for help at the same time. You're most probably going to succeed at some part in your journey. So,
well, you see the same picture all the time. The people that turn up, put the work in, stay consistent, they get the results. It's as simple as that. We've never had any members that have come through, put the work in, been consistent, didn't cut corners and not get results. They all get results.
Let's move on to because we can go on about that forever. So let's move on to building multiple brands. I think this is a good area to tap into. So our first ever brand was awfully shocking that we designed, but once again, it was one of those where, you know, the system we joined back then, there was like literally no support. It was one phone call every 6 weeks, 5 weeks, and once again, that phone call was always like, "Yeah, you're doing great, guys. You're doing great."
It wasn't with an expert. It was with someone that just told you what you want to hear.
But don't lie, Reese. You fell for that. We had a call. I knew the store looked shit, and we jumped on a call, and the guy was like, "Oh, you're doing amazing. If you continue doing what you're doing this time next year," he gave us all that stuff. And I jumped off. Reese went, "That's good, isn't it?" I was like, "Are you joking me? He's just told us what we want to hear." Even like no experience, I knew he was talking shit.
And I was there looking through the store like, "No, he is right. Does look good."
I was thinking, looks like shit. And then that's where I realised, okay, they're not really going to support us. They're not going to tell us the truth, you know.
But I think from that, like that, I think that was a bit of an eye opener for us as well. Sort of like cementing in that, you know, the support isn't there with that and stuff. And I think that just kind of, if anything, that probably gave us more drive to fucking make it work. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, if we need to do something, instead of booking in a call and waiting 6 weeks to try and get some answers, it was like, look, we need to do X, Y, and Z. So let's now get X, Y, and Z done. Like, it's down to us. But yeah, the first store was shocking. I will admit that. But we had to learn that there was no support on how to build stores. There was no help whatsoever. So we had to learn from the basics. We had to build stuff, figure it out. And I think the best thing that really helped us across all of that was literally just going through every single option and setting on there, playing with it, change this, what happens, no, don't like that, change it back, go to the next one. It's a super long-winded process, but for someone that's learning from scratch, that is one of the parts that you have to do. And then even beyond that, like, in this day and age, it's fairly simple to build a store. A lot of people still don't understand branding. They think building a logo and that's that. That's not the case. There's so much into a brand. Building a store is nice and easy, but then you get to the marketing part, and this is where everyone kind of flops because they don't know what they're doing. And I think with, Meta ads, Google ads, wherever you're marketing, if you don't know what you're doing, you're wasting time and you're wasting your money. Yeah. And I think that is one of the biggest elements that people look at and be like, oh, it don't work. People don't understand that when you build brands, you have to, going back to what we said, how are you different to everybody else? If you're not different, why is someone going to buy from you when they already probably been buying for the last year from a brand that sells the same thing? So with us building obviously our multiple brands, we've got, I would say, a handsome portfolio of brands at the moment. I think running store wise, we're running about 30 brands. Not all of them are active. We've got some that are seasonal, which are my favorite ones, getting to that time of year, getting them all prepped and looking great. But when we first started, if someone said to us, look, you're going to have 20 plus brands, you're going to have 30 plus brands, looking at the workload and everything there, we would have been like, impossible to do that. But going through the years and years and years of experience and everything that we've all done, there's so many different areas, getting VAs to run certain stuff, getting the marketing automated, being able to learn how to automate emails, SMSs, the likes of AI, stepping into Chat GPT, training your own Chat GPT to then do all the research for you, one day a week, have a coffee, whatever you're doing, and it's going to give you all the reports across your competitors. There's so many different stuff now that's available to when we first started. When we first started, we had to learn everything from scratch, and there was even parts where I think we experimented with WordPress to begin with before actually finding Shopify and finding Wix to build e-commerce stores. And WordPress, I remember, I think that was my task, because I loaded it up and it was like, you need to code this part and you need to code this part. And I was sat there thinking like, what is that? How do I even do that? And there was no AI to create the code. So it was like, you would have had to buy like a massive book to learn it. So this era right now is the best time to cash in, I think, 100%. And build brands 100%.
No, I agree. It's crazy when you think of it, creating one brand and being told we're going to make all this money and then it doesn't happen, and then you look forward and we've got all these brands all automated. It's incredible. It's incredible, the opportunity that's available right now with technology. And you find as well, as you go along in business, you build teams as well. So the VAs, we started with one VA, and then we found another VA, and then that VA had a team of 3 VAs, so now up to 5 VAs. And there's gonna be people that there's going to be people that go through this journey and they find people and then they realize after a month they're shit, but you start to flush people out throughout your journey, and then you've got the solid team, because you'll only ever go as far as your systems, right? So you can't build 30 brands or have 30 brands go live if you only have 2 VAs, right? Or you can't have 30 brands go live if you've got 15 VAs, but half of them are shit and not doing their job properly. So you'll only go as far as your system. So when somebody sits there and says, we have 30 brands, then, well, they've got some fucking incredible systems. But how do you get those systems? It's by going through the trial and error process. You're going to hire 5 people, probably fire 4 of them and keep 1. And then you do that over the course of 5 years.
This is an example of where people can fail potentially, because they could have one shit person be like, oh, VAs are crap, I'm not going to do that. But the next person that they could use could have been amazing and made them money. That's another example of that.
And I think all VAs, they all vary in terms of their expertise. So I think, like with us, the reason we've got such a solid VA team, if you want to call it that, is because we've kind of like, we've experimented with a lot, we've let a lot go, obviously, but at the same time we've kind of, there was that saying that you used to say about the sieving
the shit out.
Yeah, there you go. Didn't expect you're gonna
but that's just life, and that's just people in general, isn't it? It's like throughout your life, You have all these people that constantly come in your life, out your life, in your life, out your life.
Yeah.
And I think life is just a journey of sifting out the shit. And I think the sooner you start sifting, because a lot of people just accept everyone into their life, and you've got friends that you don't need, right? They're just like fucking hanging off the end of you. You've got people there that just want to talk shit. And I think when you get to a part of your life where you're like, I'm going to just sit as I go along, I'm going to sift the shit out of my life. Your circle just goes like that. And it's fucking, life gets better and better and better as the years go on. And you've just got this small circle. I literally said to you, no, it wasn't to you. I said it to my mum yesterday. I was taking mum home and I said, I fucking love where I'm at in life. I've got my family and I can count people on probably one hand, right? I love that. I haven't got people fucking trying to take from me. I haven't got people trying to, always blowing my phone up with bullshit. I'm at a great part in my life where, and I think you do that in business as well. When you look at business, we could have thousands and thousands of people that are on our case. What we do is we go through businesses, your shit, see you later. Yeah. Your shit, and then you start to create the perfect, like you look at our community. Look at our community. Let's end it on this quickly before we go to a break. But when you look at our community, how have we got the best community in the UK? Yeah. Right? The biggest and the best UK community in the UK. That isn't by just numbers. No. Through our social media and our messaging, what do you think we're doing when we say it isn't a get-rich-quick scheme? Don't join me. You've wasted my time. I don't want to invest time into you. What do you think we're doing? It's the same method. We're sifting the shit. And we only want people that are fucking serious about changing their life because we're done with trying to drag people to the top. We can't do that.
And we've tried that. We've tried that before.
Oh, we've tried it. We've tried getting losers on board and try and turn them into winners. Well, you can't. Losers are losers, right? You can't give, again, through experience, your systems get better. Yeah. And we figured out and we found out the hard way that you cannot give people ambition. If people are stuck in their comfort zone, you cannot push them to the top. But if somebody comes in and they've got that winner's mentality and they want to fucking level up, we can help you. Yeah. So through our messaging and through our content, what we're doing is we're sifting out the shit. And look what we have as a result. Yeah. We've got the best system and the best community in the UK.
I think on top of that as well, like that same method with the whole VAs, like we've probably got, I'd say, 15 at the moment, VAs sort of, and they work collectively together. But how many have we gone through? I'd say well over 100.
Yeah, 100.
Well over.
Yeah. Just siphon them.
Yeah. But like even
come on board, guys. Let me just sift you.
That's it. Yeah. We'll see how long you last. But even like yesterday, so I was literally sat having a meeting with a manufacturer, and an email pops through from one of our VAs. They've been reviewing some of the ads and everything we've doing, and they've literally suggested, look, we can scale this business by an extra like 20% if we remove this location and we only target areas where people have money throughout the UK. So he sent everything over in an email, and I looked at that and I was like, brilliant. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, that saved me hours of research into it, and he's just done it. And I just replied back, cheers, mate.
That's the VAs. VAs is the kind of fundamental of when you talk about automation, right?
It's so good.
You've got people who you're paying low wages to run your businesses for you. Yeah. That's automation. Yeah. If you want to get up tomorrow and go out all day, or I don't know, go on holiday, you can do it. Yeah. These guys are running your business. Yeah. Let's end it there. Let's have a break, and we'll come over to part 2.
Cool. We'll have a break, and then part 2 is going to be insane. So
part 3 is even better.
What makes a brand stand out in 2026? This is going to be exciting.
Well, it's the money one.